put laws, right, into society. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that time itself is a decree by the Catholic Church. Now, time, what I mean by is the calendar, right? That all people were existing and living on different calendars until the Pope decided, right, that there was going to be a papal bull that instituted a change from the Julius Caesar calendar to what we currently are on, the Gregorian calendar, right? Now, why this is important to me when we talk about wealth, the average person right now is trying to buy time, right? How much time can you own and control? Like, let's say that, you know, I always talk about if everything stopped right now, what can you do, right? How much can you afford? Can you afford to pay your rent? Can you afford to eat how you want? Can you continue to afford your standard of living comfortably, and for how long? And that, to me, is the definition that lets you know how wealthy and how rich you are, right? So when I talk about liberation, we're going to go to the definition of liberation. So I'm going to give y'all definition terms here today. And then we're going to get into the market and what I'm seeing right now. All right, boom. So let's look up this definition of liberation. Thank you. So you like the, all right. It says the action of setting one free from imprisonment, slavery, or oppression. Release. Freedom from limits on thoughts or behavior, right? So when we're talking about liberation, first you got to ask yourself, are we free? You understand me? Are we in any type of slavery, any type of oppression? Is there anything that we need to release from? Is there any struggle that we need to be set free from? Are we political prisoners of any kind? And if you answer those things yes, then that means that you need to be liberated. Now, the most dangerous thing that they do right now in society is they get us focusing on the wrong type of liberation. So the way they get us focusing on is sexual liberation, body liberation, right? Sexual orientation liberation. They don't get people truly focusing on the liberation where you get to control your time, your mind, and your thoughts truly, right? And societal control. So they keep us distracted by giving us false freedoms. They keep us distracted by giving us false freedoms. They give you everything but the thing that you need truly to be liberated and free. Right? So the false freedoms are the movements that we see right now that are the most successful, but they are not changing the condition that we need to be released from. Y'all following along with me? So I was doing some of my research, and I was researching some of the top fields that are the highest paying in society. So they give us an education, but it's not a liberation education, because they're not teaching you the skill sets to free yourself and release yourself from an oppressive system as a political prisoner. So black women, walaikum salam, Madrid, black women are some of the most educated in the country. And I'm going to do a whole high level conversation on this. It's going to be crazy. Black women are some of the most educated in the country, or the number one educated. Boom. So automatically, we would think that this is liberation. But what education system does is it systemizes you, indoctrinates you, right? So before you go and get their indoctrination education, you have to first have principles, value, culture, right? Belief, God. All of those things have to be strong, because then you would channel whatever you get educated on towards those principles that gear towards that belief and those agendas. If you don't, then you will work for the very system that educates you. All right? So we're working for the system that educates us, but we don't own the system. Then we're working against ourselves. So it becomes the opposite of liberation. We become the builders of our own shackles. We become educated how to build our own prisons. We become educated on how to destroy ourselves inadvertently. So without strong beliefs, tenets, principles, structures, cultures, and order before going to get the education, one is lost without an identity to navigate the indoctrination. So they end up working for the very system that they wanted to free themselves from. So liberation is key. And this is why I focus on financial liberation, spiritual liberation, right? We have to be liberated from all of these things. Otherwise, we'll be recreating them over and over and over and over, right? So the education system destroyed and is working to destroy a lot of us. And we celebrate it, not realizing, because we are good-hearted people. We want our sisters to be educated. We want our brothers to be educated. But then how do we know that this education that we're getting is not worth anything? Because we're not learning the things that are worth something, meaning the things that are of nation building. So if we was focused on building for ourselves, we'll be getting into the STEAM. What did Marcus Garvey do? He focused on STEAM. Marcus Garvey was, right, the innovator of the STEAM program curriculum in the schools: science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. There is no nation of people that will be able to do for themselves, to create and build their own culture, their own nation, their own world, without going full steam ahead. They have to have the science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. If you do not have that, I don't care how much you learn in the African American history, you learning the white Freudian psychology. What you gonna do with that? What you gonna build with that? You got mental health issues, taking white Freudian psycho models, applying it to a culture which is not proper to context on African psychology. So you're not even leaving equipped with the tools to liberate people, even on a psychological level. What that end up doing is misdiagnosing you. You are improper resourced. So it makes it worse. Then you become a psychiatrist and then just feed nothing but drugs. So, of course, engineering is the highest paid field when you're talking about the educational field. The engineering field. And guess what? Our numbers are very low in the engineering field. I'm going to give a full breakdown on this because I was studying this earlier during my plane ride. Right? So we have to look at what's been going on. The biomedical field is a field that we need to understand. These fields that will be the most disruptive in the future. This is how you set upon taking control of your finances in the future, being in control of the industries that will have the most growth in those sectors in the future. So, of course, you're going to get into the technology. Yes. You're going to get into security. Security is probably one of the biggest fields that's about to grow. Security and the biomedical field. Watch. Because all systems are going quantum, being hacked, right? Deep fakes, all of these different things. I'm sitting next to a white boy on the plane who worked for one of the security companies where they have celebrities, government agencies, corporations hire them to snuff out deep fakes and leaks in a security system across platforms. That there's going to be content out there that's fake propaganda. Right now, there could be content, somebody utilizing your face in China, in Russia, in some part of the world where they think it's you because they take a profile of you and then they artificially digitize it, take your voice profile, steal that, and then they push it out to the masses. So you got to have a company to make sure that you straight. But imagine if that's what we decided, like, oh, well, let's put our children in those fields. So when that field blows up, then boom, we at the forefront to capture that money. We say, okay, well, we're going to need more designers, more engineers, right? Well, let's put ourselves in that field. So when that field blows up, we catching that money. See, the Asian community understands this concept that they focus on the developing fields. So when the wealth enters that field and the transfer of wealth, money, time, and attention goes in there, they can capture that field and be the leading innovators of it. When we want to talk generational wealth, it ain't that I'm against school. I'm against the way we use school, because we get schooled in school. We ain't really learning. Not the things that will allow us to nation build. Shout out to Trap. So the education system is a trap. No pun intended. The education system is a trap. You understand me? It's a trap. So financial liberation is the key. And financial literacy begins the momentum towards it. But financial literacy without culture, values, principles, ethics, order, structure, agenda, rule, right, doesn't matter. Tap in, God.